Welcome to the Enduro Method podcast. Enduro Method is an online strength and conditioning program built for those who ride by those who ride. We are professional coaches dedicated to building the best and most revolutionary off-the-bike training for dirt bikers around. We are offering a special discount for our podcast listeners. Use discount code EMPodcast22 for 50% off your first month. For more information, head to the description of this podcast where you can find the discount code and a link for more information and to sign up. Hello, Dane and Josh here on the Enduro Method podcast today, and we are discussing 6 things to make you a better rider. Not thick things, 6 things to make you a better rider. So we're just going to go through all 6 of them, discuss them, and then you can go implement them and up your riding game. How about that?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, let's get to it. Number 1 we have is...
fitness.
Shocker.
Yeah.
If you've listened to our podcast before, sorry if we've become a broken record, but we'll get this one out of the way so you can get to the ones that you might not guess that we would put on this list. But yes, fitness is top priority for us. Number 1.
Yeah, I don't think it's just for us. I think it's important. Every single professional rider is fit.
Period.
Yeah, I mean, hands down, right? Is there weaknesses in there that probably could be improved? Probably. But if you're looking at just fitness as a generality, they're all top notch.
Yep.
And most amateur riders are not.
Well, some are.
Yes, but I mean, as we'll discuss, there's, fitness is a very broad term. I'm not trying to disparage anybody. I'm just saying, in general, if you took an amateur, and again, this would be kind of race specific, but if you took an amateur out of the lineup and you took a pro out of the lineup, who could ride longer?
Well, yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So they're fitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Anyways, get stronger, build cardiovascular endurance, which ultimately lead to better decision making.
Right. I think that's one of the things that's missed when talking about fitness, because everybody thinks, strength or endurance or stamina, but ultimately what that also leads to is better decision making and quicker reactions, which leads to less injuries or broken parts on the bike or whatever. It's less expensive.
Oh yeah, you already said injuries.
Yeah. So it not only helps you last longer on the bike, ride harder, which in turn all those things amplitude your skill level eventually, because you can do more, you can, push, you can be in the saddle longer because you have endurance. You can pick up your bike more because you are stronger, easier, right, before you burn out, all those things. Plus, who knows where it benefits you by not making the little mistake that you would make when you're really tired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is the basis of Enduro Method, essentially. This is why we started Enduro Method to begin with. 6 things that'll make you a better rider. Your fitness. Yeah, and it'll make you have more fun on the bike, ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think if you want to learn more about that, you can just read all of our content.
Visit the website, blog posts, blah, blah, blah.
We write about this a lot, but...
Look at other people that are doing it, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot out there.
Yeah. Find
somebody you gel with and start working toward a goal.
Yeah. Get a training buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we talked about this ad nauseum, so we'll just move to the next one, unless there's anything else you want to add.
No, I mean, it's going to circle back at some point probably, but...
Sure. All right, next one is your nutrition.
Yep. If you increase the quality of food that you take in on a regular basis, you'll have more energy. You'll potentially, this isn't like a weight loss conversation, but it could help reshape body composition in a positive manner. But energy levels is kind of the main thing with nutrition. Like, you're not going to go out and put gas in your bike that sat out in a cracked gas can in the rain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going to assume water got in the gas, and you're going to also make a correct assumption that if you put that in your bike, it's going to run like shit. Might still run. It's not going to run great. So why would you go out and fill yourself up with ho-hos and Twinkies, pizza and beer, and then expect to go out and feel great
Right.
and burn efficiently when you ride, right? I'm not saying you can never have those things. I'm just saying that shouldn't be a daily staple.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just like the eating well to just feel good.
You know?
We're talking about ways to become a better rider. Well, you'll be a better rider if your body is functioning more optimally.
Yeah, 100%. You'll be able, again, to last longer. You'll be able to ride harder. I mean,
Higher output.
You'll get fitter riding because you can do those things at a higher level, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah.
So if somebody's listening to this and they're like, uh-oh, I'm eating the Twinkies and Ho-Hos, what should I do? What would you say?
Start looking at alternative food options.
Okay, well, I'll take over. So work towards whole foods.
Yeah.
And base your nutrition around protein, lean protein sources, and try and get, if you eat, like, take a look at your day. Do you have any vegetables throughout your day? If that's a 0, then you should work on getting 1.
Right. And a baby step could be literally 1 vegetable a day. 1 serving size, not just like 1 baby carrot, but like a serving size of vegetables a day. And if you already get 1, but you only get 1, work toward 2 or 3 or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So that could be a big step up, even without changing anything else. So something to keep in mind with nutrition, sometimes when you think about taking things out of your diet, it becomes very, you get like a scarcity mindset surrounding it, which can cause people to get a little neurotic or binge or feel guilty or all these things. So instead of telling yourself there's things you can't eat, just tell yourself that there's things you have to eat. And if you actually hold yourself to that standard, sometimes you'll kind of crowd out the crap. Because when you do start eating more quality foods, you are less hungry for other things. And so if you prioritize the quality, some of that stuff just might go by the wayside. Like, you're either not hungry for it, or you start feeling better and you realize that that's directly related to food.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of quit craving the crap. Anyways, just thought.
Yeah. I think just like ultimately, like, if you picked up this podcast and you're like, oh, I want to become a better rider. Well, nutrition will help with that. Now, on the other hand, like, if you're super healthy listening to this, maybe you are checking that box. And kudos to you. Good job. And the other thing, like, we started our nutrition challenge at our gym right now, and we had a podcast on that, and we talked about, like, just how easy it is to believe you're healthy when you're actually not, talking from my own personal experience. So, most of the time, if you are quote unquote eating healthy, you're like, oh, I definitely have that box checked. Or I guess if you're like, I don't know what I would change, like what, or am I, you're looking at me like you don't know where I'm going.
I don't. I'm waiting.
Maybe I don't know where I'm going either, but what I'm getting at, I guess, maybe, is just most of the time you know what you're doing wrong. So fix it.
Yeah.
I feel like I run into the trap of being like, oh, I eat healthy.
Right, but if you really examine what you've eaten for the day, you're like, oh.
And I'm like, oh, well, I had one of those bars instead of eating
real food.
A real food.
Right. Yeah.
You know, oh shit, I did that every day this week,
right.
by the way. But dinner and breakfast were healthy, but that bar, you know, I was too lazy to meal prep anything.
Right.
Or whatever it may be.
Right. Well, and that's where there's levels, right? There's like...
That's what I was trying to say. Like, we discussed, like, get one serving of vegetable, and then the person that's like, well, I already eat 3 vegetables a day.
There's the base level, which is like everything's fully processed. Everything comes out of a package or from the gas station or fast food, right? And that's like a pretty unhealthy diet. And then maybe your top level is like everything's homemade. You make all your meals, you meal prep, everything's organic, whole food sourced. Rarely anything out of packages. You have, you know, a very quality energy input and energy output. You're very stable and happy with your lean body mass. Like, that could be a pinnacle. And then you have that at the bottom, and you got all this in between. And so if you're
closer to the top, if you're happy, healthy, and feel great, maybe nothing to change.
Yeah, maybe you don't need to change much. Then you're looking at like potentially ditching some seed oils, or like really nailing down on micronutrients, not macros, but micro, making sure all your vitamins are in line, all that stuff. And then at the bottom, you're literally like, I need to eat a vegetable a day. Right. And so falling somewhere in that, recognizing where you are, and then trying to just make small improvements could be a big win.
Okay, I'm done rambling. Sorry. Okay, next one, number 3, is hire a riding coach or attend a clinic.
Yeah, it's a really good one. It can tremendously speed up the learning curve, because you get an expert with eyeballs on you. And so instead of, I'm not disparaging at all, I love YouTube and I love videos and all that stuff, but sometimes it's hard to know what's like within reach for you to practice and what might just be out of reach. I think some of that you should explore on your own, like within being safe. Like, go overreach a little bit and then pull back and be like, oh, that's what I want to do, but I'm not there yet. So then you need to regress that skill down to manageable steps to get you to where you want to go. And that's, I think, where having that one-on-one attention from somebody can be so valuable, because it might take you 2 months to figure that out. And literally by going and being in person with somebody, they could point that out in 2 minutes and be like, here's the steps to get you to where you want to go. And it's just that much faster. You can probably get there on your own, but it might take a little bit longer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little biased here, as I am a riding coach for Dirtastic, and I mean, it's super helpful.
Yeah.
I guarantee you'll walk away with learning something new. I mean, people repeat the clinics.
Right.
I've seen people do the clinics over and over again, and I think they're still learning stuff every time they come. If I always say, if you can get one thing take away, that's a win. And like you said, just having that immediate feedback and practicing it, and just learning it all. The biggest thing I would say too is, when you do these clinics, which will bleed into the next one, is to take what you learn and go practice it.
Right. Because
now you've gotten immediate feedback. Okay, your counterbalancing is off. You're putting the weight on the wrong side. So, now you need to put the weight on the outside peg, and you need work figure eights. That is a great drill for you based on what I'm observing. You're talking about quartering. You want to get better at quartering, and I'm looking at you, oh my gosh, your counterbalancing is wrong. You're weighting the wrong peg at the wrong time. So here's a drill that you can do specifically based on what I just observed. And then you do it. And then I'm like there observing and be like, yes, that's it. And then did you feel it? Yes, no, great. And then doing it again and again and again. And then you got it. And then you got that one down. Then you're on to the next drill, And yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's super important. And a lot of these can be done in really small spaces. You know, you don't have to be out on acres of land. They could be done in driveways. They could be done
In
out
your
on
garage.
some in a garage. So just drills and skills like breaking movements down, making them small. They might even seem a little silly in the beginning, but go
So this
try
is
it.
number
They're
4.
hard.
We're on to number 4. Drills and skills.
Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. We were talking.
We're talking about coaching.
Yeah. Yes, you started to bleed into that, and then I just ran on with it.
It was bleeding.
Yeah. So, hiring a coach,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Being in person, obviously one-on-one, you're just gonna have more attention.
Mm-hmm.
Group settings still can learn a lot.
Yep.
So clinics are great. You know, there's a bunch of riders who put on like 1 or 2 day clinics. If you've never done them, I highly recommend them. If you have the opportunity and know somebody close to you, or even travel for it, or get a group together and get them to come to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the guys that and girls that do the coaching, if you can get a small group together, reach out, say, hey, I got 10 people signed up. You know, how much does it cost per person? Are you willing to come to us? Right. So, and I think that's it's becoming a little bit easier, especially in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think more and more of these riders are doing it.
Right. Which is awesome.
Which is great.
Yeah.
So yeah, shameless plug there for Endurtastic for the ladies out there listening to this. Check us out. I will also say that you can look up dirt bike coaches at USMCA, United States Motorcycle Coaching Association, I believe is what it is. So the Endurtastic coaches are certified through that. So you can also maybe seek out people on that. There's you can choose to be on the map through that. So yeah. Okay. Next one.
Guess what number 4 is?
Guess what? We'll diverge the whole one. It's drills, skills, and ride.
So this would be where if you did get the opportunity to either go to a clinic or work one-on-one with somebody, now you're continuing education through practice. Very important, because if you don't take what you learn and implement it, it's not going to stick.
Mm-hmm. Or it sticks less.
If you do it once, it's not that much. Now, if you take it and you ride, of course, maybe some of it'll stick.
Well, yeah, okay, so ride.
But if you just take it and leave it and don't practice those steps and don't practice those drills that you learned or add on to them, you're just going to you could be the same person who shows up to the clinic with the same skill set for years on end. And again, there might be reasons for that. You might be totally stoked because of the community and being with your friends and so that's fine. But what I'm saying is, if you want that progression, you got to practice these things in between.
Yeah. If you want to be a better rider.
Right. If that is a goal. So doing cone drills, this would be where the internet's fantastic, because you can get ideas on ways to expand on stuff. Of course, everybody's pretty familiar with Rich Larson videos at this point, RC Tire Guy. He's got some amazing stuff and a ton of cool ideas. And then you can even take his ideas and make up your own stuff. Be a little creative. Go out there and start tooling around. Mm-hmm. Maybe your train's a little different. Maybe you can't set up the way he has it. No problem. Set up your own. Go do a trials event if you have the opportunity and a trials bike. All of these things they're just tools in your toolkit that you can use to make yourself a better rider. Mm-hmm. Literally creativity, a little bit of time. Don't be scared to fail. And of course, be safe doing
it. And on the last, it was drill, skills, and ride. So actually getting seat time will make you a better rider. You know, the more you ride, the better you're going to get.
Yes. The only caveat, and I would kind of always fall back on this, but if you only ever ride and don't do the skills and drills and break down those things that you potentially will see on the trail, your learning curve is going to be much shallower. You can get way faster, way quicker by taking the problem areas that you have on the trail, breaking them down, and then hitting them for hundreds of reps. So if log crossings are an issue, find a log that you can get over, again, without hurting yourself, and go do it 50 times, 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait for that 2 times you get to go across it every time you ride in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go hit it a bunch.
Yeah. Seat time, baby.
Yep.
Okay, next one, number 5, mental toughness.
So, mental toughness to me is just showing up when you don't want to. Like if you have a goal or you want to see improvement, or it could be your job, could be hanging out with your family, it doesn't matter. But making yourself do things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them, because they're easy to do when you want to do them. The problem is that's more like motivation. Motivated for like a day, a week. Eventually that's going to go away, or you'll kind of take your eyes off the prize or whatever it is. So mental toughness is literally putting in the work when you don't want to put the work in. And the reason why that's important is because, I mean, all of that stuff leads to having confidence. Like, you don't just wake up with confidence one day. If you do, it's a lie. And it's more like some disguised motivational thing. Like, it won't last because confidence is earned. So when you practice something day in and day out, or every other day in and day out, or as much as you can, but you know when you've put time in for something, you become more confident in it. If you don't put the time in, you feel like a fraud, which you kind of are. And like, everybody can get lucky, but lucky is not confidence. Like, confidence is backed by time, effort, showing up when you don't want to, blah, blah, blah. So, and that goes for, you could put that in every category. You could be mentally tough in one area of your life and not mentally tough in another area of your life. Like, that's very realistic. You could be super disciplined about your fitness and completely undisciplined about your nutrition, right? And vice versa. Like, you could have your nutrition dialed, but you're like, there's no way in hell I'm working out. So it's not just one thing, right? It's putting all those puzzle pieces together. But the more you can put it together, the more confidence you have. Yeah.
So you're just saying mental toughness will make you a better rider because you're going to do all the things that you need to do to make you a better rider.
Well, and then you believe in yourself. Because if you don't put the work in, like I said, you can literally get lucky. Like, you could go out, you could have some natural talent, whatever, maybe not even natural talent, just get lucky. And then you have this place that you think you should be, but you don't necessarily like really believe that you should be there. And then you go out again, and then next time, you're not there, and you're way down somewhere else. And then all of a sudden you feel like a failure, you self-doubt, I'm not any good at this, like all these things. And it's understandable, but it's also because there's nothing backing it up.
I'm not going to trying to go on a tangent after this.
So I think it's the people, like, I don't know. I feel like you can, when you talk to people who are very confident in themselves, it's not to say arrogant. That's a completely different thing. Usually very confident people, they don't need to go around bragging and boasting about what they can do or what they've done or who they know, because they know where they are and they know who they are. Mm-hmm. Because they've suffered enough and been humbled almost every day that they do something because they're out there trying it. And so they also have a pretty good idea of their limits. Whereas people who haven't done that, it's almost the opposite. No idea what their limits are, and all they do is tell you how good they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have all the best gear. They've got the new bike.
Yeah, sometimes.
Brand new gear.
Hey, nothing wrong with a new bike, especially brand new trail bike.
Okay, well, I'm not going to go off on anything with that because I got nothing. You just said it all. Very well. Good job. Okay, number 6, and I think this one is awesome. Seek out riders who are better than you, and ride with them.
Yeah. Don't settle. Don't get comfortable. Find people who are better. Ride with them as much as possible. Watch what they do better than you. Try and mimic it. Take it home. Practice it. This leads into the mental toughness thing, because mentally weak people don't want to ride with people who are better than them because they can't handle the hit to their ego. I'm dead serious. Mentally strong people who are confident in their abilities and want to learn
Totally.
love riding with people who are better than them because they know in the long run it's going to make them better.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is my whole dirt bike life. I don't think I ride with any. I only ride with people better than me.
No, but it is true. It's surround yourself with people that are of quality, look up to, and are good at what they do.
Yeah,
right?
and I would say on, speaking as a female, like I just said, I feel like you just ride solely with people that are better than you because the majority, not always, but majority of dudes are good riders.
Yeah.
And so on my end of the spectrum, I would say seek out other female riders that are better than you because I've had that in my life. Shout out to Kate Shade. And I think that was a huge influence in my progression as a rider, is just to be around other women doing badass shit, excuse the language, but that giving you confidence to be like, oh, she did that, I can do that.
Right.
I mean, this is the whole thing with Dirtastic as well, is just seeing other women doing stuff is way different than seeing a bunch of dudes do it. It's more common. You're like, oh, the dude, okay, you hopped the double log again. Nice. Good for you. Okay, what about me?
Right.
So for the women out there seeking out riders that are better than you, that are girls. And it's truly inspiring and helps build your confidence because, yeah, I think that's a great one. I think that also, riding with better riders than you challenges you to ride harder terrain as well. So not only are you watching them and being around people that are better than you, but you're probably also, at least in my circumstances, being challenged as to what you are riding. So you're not stuck with riding the same easy stuff all the time. You are seeking out these better riders, so therefore you're riding, for me in my circumstance, you're riding the harder stuff.
Right.
So not only riding with them, but you're riding stuff that's maybe, just a little bit outside of your ability or just right at the cusp, which would ultimately might make you a better rider.
Yeah.
And will help make you build the mental toughness too. Like, you're riding harder stuff. It's mentally challenging. It's frustrating. It's hard. And that ultimately will help you become a better rider. I think all 6 of these truly bleed one into the other.
Yeah, they're all connected. I would say with the riding with better riders, there's probably limits in there of like overreaching.
Yeah,
if you will.
It's true.
So just make sure that
over your head.
Those people are looking out for your best interests as well.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
I've also been there. No, I can't. There's no way.
Right. So it's got to be, Dane hit it a little bit, but it's got to be just out. We want it to be just kind of outside your comfort zone, right? Too far outside the comfort zone becomes
dangerous.
A higher risk of injury and
it's just
broken parts and all that stuff.
It's just stupid on that end of the spectrum.
So if you can find that sweet spot, that's a big win in the way of progressing as a rider.
Yeah. And I just had another thought. I'm going to ramble, but whatever. We're only 30 minutes in. You can hang in there for a couple more minutes as I hopefully make sense. But, if you're limited to who you're riding with and you have somebody that has equal ability, like feeding off of each other is a good thing. Like say you're
being competitive.
Yeah, or sure. Or like, feeding off of each other if you're like-minded in that sense of like you both want to become better riders, but your riding buddy is at the same level, and you're like, well, I'm listening to podcasts going, well, I don't have anyone, so it's, but homie over here is the same level as me. So it's just feeding off of each other. And maybe you have different strengths and weaknesses, but your overall riding level is pretty similar, but challenging each other in different aspects. And that can be beneficial too, I think, pushing each other if you're close in your riding ability.
Yeah, I think you could do that without being, you don't have to be close in your riding ability. You could use that same thing with a good rider and a less good rider.
Here's a great example too. Josh riding with me. Somebody might be superior. Not going to say names. Josh, I'm going to say names, is far superior rider than myself. And how do you make yourself a better rider when you're riding with me? When you're stooping down to my riding level?
Oh, how do I work on myself?
Yeah. When you're riding with somebody that's is not at your riding level,
I will do my best to be very cognizant of body position, cornering, braking, never putting foot down, hit all the little offshoots and jibs and jibes that I can on the trail. Mm-hmm. Practice things where I can.
Yeah, so if your riding partner is your wife and you're like, well, there's a large ability gap here, make the most out of the time and still work. You can still work on your riding.
Yeah, I'll just play games with myself going down the trail.
Yeah. You can stop and then try and catch them. Wait for a while and then see if you can catch them. See how long it takes to catch them. Or if you're with me, Josh, sometimes you don't catch me. I'm joking. But that's another thing.
Yeah, no, that's a good point because I do think, but that's what I end up doing because that to me is fun. It's worthwhile. Whereas if I was just out there not doing any of those things, well, I don't know.
Or thinking your ego is so big you can't ride with somebody.
No, exactly. It is that because that's kind of where I was going is I'm too good to do this.
They said in the podcast, I got to ride with people better than me.
Yeah, it's nonsense. Just come up with games that you play with yourself while you're cruising around with your buddy or girlfriend or wife or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that sums up the 6 ways that we think will make you a better rider. Anything else you want to add?
No, other than every single one of these needs practice, constant attention. And you're not going to be, it's not that you have to have, what I'm saying is there'll probably be waves in the way you progress. You can't put all of your focus on every single one of these every day. But maybe there's a period of time where you really put focus into one of them and you're these other ones are on the back burner and you're thinking about them. And then you get that one kind of built in like a habit. And then you can move on to the next one and really focus on that one. Burn that in a little bit more or take what you can from it and move on to the next. Life's very fluid. And I don't know, I get frustrated with this idea that what you do now you're going to be doing forever or that you have to do it forever. If you eat this way, you have to do that forever and that's the only way that you'll ever be able to do it from here on out. Same with working out. You see, you want to do Enduro Method for 6 months, it works great for you, but then you get over it. Move on to something else. There's nothing wrong with that. Realize that the other thing's not as good and come back. It's all good. No, but I mean, like, just because you're doing something now doesn't mean you have to do it forever. So that's also an excuse not to do something. It's like you don't want to commit because you feel if you commit, you're stuck. And it's nonsense. Just use it for what it is and then move on and do something else. So if you commit to doing skills and drills and riding more, and you're like, well, I only have a 4-week window, so fuck it, it's not worth it. No, do it for that 4 weeks to the best of your ability. And then when you can't do it anymore, figure out a new plan and move forward with that.
I like it.
All right. That was it.
All right. Thank you all for listening. We hope that you can take these 6 things and run with it and help you yourself become a better rider. If fitness is one of those things that you want to improve and you're looking for something to guide you, check out Enduro Method, enduromethod.com. It was, as you were speaking there too, I was also thinking that for those that just want good information and like to read, sign up for our weekly Fuel newsletters. Josh writes them every week, a little weekly love letter to our subscribers. We talk all things dirt biking, mental toughness, nutrition, fitness.
We try and keep it in those lanes, but it wanders sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it goes off of tangents, but that's okay. It's all good content. And so if you want some of that free content, sign up for our weekly newsletter. We definitely don't spam you, by the way. So it's just, hopefully you just enjoy the content. That's what you get out of it.
And you can unsubscribe.
And you can unsubscribe at any time. It's totally a thing. So you can sign up through that on our website. Our Instagram bio is also where you can find that. But check that out. If you are listening to this and made it this far and you are racing a hard enduro event this year, and you're looking to train for it, I would encourage you to check out our 8-week hard enduro training plan. We launched that this year. A
couple weeks ago.
A few weeks ago. And that is geared towards getting you prepared for a hard enduro race. So check that out if you are interested in that race specific 8-week course, 8-week training plan. And that's it. That's all I got. Find us on the social medias. Hit us up. Love hearing from you guys. And as always, thanks for listening.
Thank you.